Welcome to the Dynasty series. Here we will take a look at some of the greatest dynasties in sports history, looking at the teams, the players, and overall accomplishments. Today, I want to look at the New York Yankees from 1996 to 2000. The Yankees are the most successful franchise in Major League Baseball history, winning 27 championships, well ahead of the second-place St. Louis Cardinals, who have won 11. Not surprisingly, the Yankees also have the most World Series appearances with 40, and with that many appearances, it should be no surprise that they also have the most losses as well. Starting in the 1920s, the Yankees had won at least one World Series in every decade through the 1970s, but the streak went cold in 1978, although there was an appearance in 1981 where they lost to the Los Angeles Dodgers. It would be 15 years before they would make it to the championship again. The year is 1996, and the Yankees come into the season following a second-place finish and the ever-lengthening drought of winning a pennant, to say the least, of winning a World Series. Changes were needed, and legendary owner George Steinbrenner was more than willing to make them, having replaced manager Buck Showalter with Joe Torre, which was not initially well received by the New York media. They made some off-season moves that paid dividends by picking up both David Cone and Dwight Gooden off the free agency market and trading for Tino Martinez and Tim Raines. Adding two quality starting pitchers and two good backups who could also fill in as a designated hitter filled in some gaps in the lineup. These players, along with an emerging young core, was enough to win the Yankees their first pennant since 1981. This was a breakout year for Derek Jeter, who would lead the team in games played, hits, and batting average with a .314 on his way to winning Rookie of the Year by a unanimous vote. It should be noted that second baseman Mariano Duncan batted .340, although he did not have enough plate appearances to qualify for the batting title. While nearing the end of his career, third baseman Wade Boggs would still bat above .300 and get his only World Series win. The cast of Bernie Williams, Paul O'Neill, and others played a good quality team game with few gaps in their lineup. The starting pitching staff, consisting of ace Andy Pettitte, a 21-game winner, and team leader in wins, innings pitched, ERA, and strikeouts, accompanied by David Cone, Dwight Gooden, and Kenny Rogers, combined for 69 of the team's 92 wins. Mariano Rivera worked out of the bullpen as a setup pitcher before moving into the closer role the following season. The postseason had them facing the Texas Rangers and slugger Juan Gonzalez in the first round, but would dispatch them in 5 games, closing out the series in Texas. In the American League Championship Series, the Orioles would split the first 2 games in New York and head back to Baltimore tied in the series, but the Yankees would easily win the next 3 games to advance to the World Series for the first time since 1978. In the series, they would face the powerhouse Braves and would yield home field advantage by losing the first 2 games at home, falling quickly behind Atlanta 2-0. The Yankees would not be outdone, however, and rallied back to win 4 straight games, with closer John Wetland earning a save in each of them and garnering the World Series MVP award. 1997 was a season with high hopes, and they were perhaps a bit too lofty. The team would finish second but still make the postseason facing the Cleveland Indians, but would unfortunately fall short in 5 games and be bounced from the playoffs in the first round. This was a humbling experience for the team and fans, as was told to me by a close friend of mine who was a Yankees fan, but it seemed to stoke the fire for the team to want to prove that they are the best, and that's what they did. In 1998, the Yankees put together a season that is widely recognized as one of the greatest teams in baseball history. They set an American League record with an incredible 114 wins. In the offseason, they re-signed Darryl Strawberry and Tim Raines, along with free agent Chili Davis. They also made a trade with the Twins to acquire second baseman Chuck Knobloch, along with buying the contract for Alfonso Soriano from the Japanese League. This team was so dominant that the second-place Red Sox won 92 games and finished in second place by 22 games. The starting pitching was a particularly strong point, led by 20-game winner David Cone, David Wells, Hideki Irabu, and Andy Pettitte. Mike Stanton moved comfortably into the role of setup man in the bullpen, but the dominance of Mariano Rivera would shut down any team attempting to come back with 36 saves and an ERA of 1.91. With Derek Jeter the clubhouse leader and Jorge Posada installed as catcher, the offense would roll through the season with such mainstays as Bernie Williams, who led the league in batting, and Paul O'Neill in the outfield. The Yankees swept the Rangers in the first round 3-0 and allowed just a single run in the series. In the ALCS, the Indians were ahead 2-1 but dropped 3 straight games to lose the series. The World Series would match up the San Diego Padres against the Yankees, but it seemed that they should have just stayed home, getting swept in 4 straight games by the Yankees, who completed their historic season with a championship win. Coming into the 1999 season, Bernie Williams, Scott Brocious, and David Cone all re-signed with the Yankees, who added Roger Clemens in a trade with the Blue Jays, sending David Wells to Toronto. While they didn't win a record number of games again, their 98 was enough to win the division over the Red Sox by just 4 games. Notably, during the season, David Cone would pitch a perfect game with 10 strikeouts against the Expos on July 18th. The postseason was once again an easy first round, beating the Rangers 3-0 and allowing just a single run in the series for the second year in a row. The divisional series saw them face longtime rival Boston Red Sox, and although the first 2 games were decided by a single run each, New York came out on top each time. Game 3 would find the Yankees losing by 12 runs in a marquee matchup between Pedro Martinez and Roger Clemens, but was a short-lived celebration for Boston as they would lose the next 2 games and be eliminated. Cruising into the World Series, they would see a familiar opponent in the Atlanta Braves, but would not see them for very long as they swept Atlanta in 4 games and would win their second straight championship. The 2000 season saw little notable free agent signings, with only Mike Stanton and Tim Raines being of any meaning, although Raines would later be released by the team. The biggest trade would see star David Justice acquired from Cleveland for 3 players, and Jose Canseco would be picked up in August off of waivers. Once again, they would win the division over the Red Sox, but this year by only 2 games, and with just 87 wins, would head into the playoffs as the 2-time defending champions and favorites to win again. The first round was a matchup with Oakland, who would push New York to a full 5 games, but would lose the final game in Yankee Stadium by just 2 runs. Similarly, in the ALCS, the Mariners pushed out to 6 games, but would also lose the deciding game in New York by just 2 runs. The World Series was easy by comparison, winning 4-1 against the crosstown rival New York Mets in what was dubbed the Subway Series. The Yankees completed the rare three-peat, which has only happened 4 times in MLB history, with the Yankees having done it 3 separate times. This is also the last time it's been done to date. This team was able to keep their core together and mostly healthy, which contributed to their continued success over several seasons. Likely another team will win 3 consecutive championships at some point in the future, but if history is any indicator, it will likely be another dominant Yankees team. Thank you for joining me. Please hit that like button if you did indeed like the video, and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. I upload a short every day and longer videos like this every Thursday and Sunday.